Hi, it's Steve with ChampionshipFantasyFootball.com, and in this video, I'm going to be teaching you the secret drafting method used by the fantasy pros and experts to dominate their drafts. I'm going to show you the exact same method, and you can use it to dominate yours. So let's start out with a simple question. How do you win a fantasy championship? And in the simplest form, the answer is you win by having the most valuable players on your team. So then the next question is, how do you determine a player's value? And here comes into play that secret method that I've been talking about that experts have been using for a couple years now to dominate drafts. It's called value-based drafting. Matthew Berry in his 2012 Draft Day Manifesto said that VBD, or value-based drafting, is a groundbreaking piece of draft strategy, makes a lot of sense, and many people that he respects swear by it. Joe Bryant, the father of VBD, says that the surest way to dominate your league is to start by dominating your draft. Value-based drafting is the hottest thing among serious fantasy owners and writers. The system's gained popularity for one reason. It works. And I'm going to teach you the VBD system right now. So you have to ask yourself, who's the most valuable? Is it a quarterback who scores 31 touchdowns and throws for 3,900 yards? Running back who rushes for 11 touchdowns and a little over 1,100 yards? Or is it a wide receiver who catches 7 touchdowns and gains 1,250 yards? In this example, clearly the quarterback scoring the most points, but is he the most valuable? This question is not easy to answer, and it's the core of the VBD system. You see, the value of a player is not determined by the number of points he scores, but rather his value is determined by how much he outscores other players at his position. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're playing one week, it's you versus an opponent, and you only have a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. So let's start at the top. Your quarterback scores 20 points, your opponent's quarterback scores 25 points. You're down 5. Your running back scores 3 less than your opponent's. Now you're down 8. But your wide receiver outscores his wide receiver by 9. Now you're up 1. The tight ends both score 7 points. It's a wash. So you end up winning the week by 1. So good work. Congratulations on the W. But the question is, which of these players is the most valuable? And the answer should be clear. Your wide receiver was the MVP of this week because he scored 9 more points than your opponent's wide receiver. Even though the quarterback scored more, the running back scored more, this week was won by the virtue of the wide receiver of yours scoring 9 more points than the wide receiver of your opponent. So I hope that illustrates that the most valuable player is the one who outscores their position's other starting players by the greatest number of points. But that example was just for 1 week. We're talking about value for an entire fantasy season. And calculating value is actually pretty easy. It's not a highly complicated formula or equation, but you need a lot of information to calculate value. You need to create or get projected stats for every player who might get drafted. You need to factor in your league's size, both number of teams and the starting positions played, and the scoring system into those projections. You need to determine a baseline for each player from which you can use the baseline to calculate every player's value. And then you need to rank all the players, both overall and by their respective positions, by their value. It's a headache to say the least. But you don't have to do any of that stuff, because we have a free value-based drafting tool that we want to give you right now. With that tool, all those things I just talked about are completely done for you. The tool pulls projected stats for every player from ESPN, CBS, and NFL.com and averages them together. After you punch in the league size and scoring system for your league, the tool automatically calculates that into all the projections. It's done for you. The baseline is automatically calculated, and every player's value is automatically calculated. And on top of that, the players are instantly sorted for you. You get all the results and all the benefits of the value-based drafting tool, but none of the work. So get our free value-based drafting tool, courtesy of championshipfantasyfootball.com, by clicking the button below and get your hands on the tool. When you click that button, you're going to be taken to a page that looks just like this. All you need to do is enter your name and your email and click the Dominate Your Draft button. We're going to be sending you that tool right away. In fact, you're probably only about 30 seconds away from getting your hands on that value-based drafting tool and dominating your draft. So I'll see you around, champ. Go ahead and right now click that button below and get your copy of the Championship Fantasy Football value-based drafting tool.